Hi, and welcome to my channel, Laura's Library Card. So today I'm going to be discussing a book review on The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan, which I've mentioned a bunch of times on my channel because I'm participating in a Wheel of Time read-along. So we have finally finished the first book and I figured might as well give you what I think about it. So I'm going to do my best to not make this review too long. I'm going to set myself a little stopwatch and kind of keep glancing at it to make sure I'm not just rambling because that's boring. So let's go. Okay, so The Eye of the World is the first book in Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series, which is like at least is more than a dozen books. So I'm not going to really discuss like this book's summary, but basically this book as the first book really functions to set up a lot of the world building. I would say that the kind of start and the foundation of this series and the world building and the characters, we really have a good setup here in this first book. So we have multiple perspectives, but the sort of main character is Rand al'Thor, and he's this sort of bumbling country shepherd dude, and he and a couple of his friends meet up with more people who meet up with more people, and we kind of get the Fellowship of the Ring together. And that really is a good term because Robert Jordan made no secret that he liked Lord of the Rings, and this is a lot of homage to the Lord of the Rings series. And while I've never actually officially read Lord of the Rings series, I've seen all the movies, so I definitely caught parallels throughout this first book. So the premise of this first book is that we're basically getting the team together. We do get a little bit of a glimpse into each individual person, but the goal is they start off not together in this sort of like country place, and they're trying to get to location X, and sort of they plot wise they just kind of like come together, and then they journey together, and then they're separated, and so then we kind of follow each one of their paths as they're all separated from each other, and then how they all manage to come back together. There is plot because they're traveling and they're encountering people and they're sort of learning about themselves, but the plot really functions, in my opinion, to set up each of their character stories and character arcs and sort of like what roles those people are going to play. And I've only read book one, so like maybe I'm wrong here, but it really feels like, thing happens, and then therefore that gives us a chance to see what makes that character special. At least with the like sort of three main young men perspectives. So really this book is a lot more about the world building and the setting, and how it's a battle between good and evil, and sort of how evil is starting to like leak into the world again, because this is a wheel of time, so it's very circle of life, cycles of the earth, and the good needs to always triumph over evil, but like the evil is sort of gaining traction now, and so the group of people are all together because they have the goal, and I think they have the destiny to ultimately work on defeating the bad guy, the big bad evil presence, the dark one. I already mentioned that there are Lord of the Rings parallels, and I think that there are a lot of fantasy tropes happening, or just kind of literary tropes happening. I wouldn't call high fantasy my like normal genre. I have read a few book series. I don't know. I felt like there were a number of people in the read along who were like, wow, I was kind of confused when blah, blah, blah happened. And most of the time I was just kind of sitting back being like, well, that was clearly supposed to be confusing, or that was clearly supposed to be set up for something that will be revealed later. And so for the most part, I didn't like let myself get hung up on any of that, slash I didn't find it confusing. There are a lot of, really familiar archetypes and tropes. Rand is like the chosen one, he there's the archetypes of like there's like a wise woman, and there's sort of like a wizard figure, and sort of those people are kind of the same. And then there's the like hardened, toughened warrior. And there's sort of like, you know, the old bard whose like wisdom is going to be surprisingly helpful. You know, there's sort of the like plucky, I wouldn't call him a sidekick, but you know, like a plucky, like, you know, humorous character. My one critique for now, and that I hope will change in future books, is that I feel like the female perspectives are kind of weak. And I think that's mostly because we're looking right now through a main point of view of this like 18-year-old boy. But I mean, I really hope that those female characters get more fleshed out in the future. I really felt like Egwene's main point was just to be like the pretty, young, fresh-faced, naive one, and Nynaeve's perspective was to be like this, like, she was really like a bitter, kind of angry character. I think that she's gonna have a lot of growth and change. She's not like this like old crone. Like she's, you know, only a few years older than our main character. And Moraine is really just like steeped in mystery. So I really hope we get more of the female perspectives going forward. So what's sort of clear to me by the end of this book is that each character is going to have their own importance and own role to play, you know, sort of going forward and in this attempt to defeat evil. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And I've already gotten hints from some of the people who have read the series multiple times that the future books focus on other perspectives, and as people kind of separate and like kind of go their own separate ways to start fulfilling those destinies, I think we're going to see really cool opportunities for like individual growth and character arcs. So it's kind of hard to rate this book just like because it feels so early in the series. But I went ahead and I gave it like 4.5, 5 stars. There were some slow parts just where you were kind of like, come on, like get to where we're going. But I felt like the foundation was really built and set for this whole series. So I'm really looking forward to continuing, and I've already started The Great Hunt. I've just read like chapter 1 or 2 and prologue. So I am so happy that I found this Discord, which I will leave a link down below to the Discord server. I'm really happy I found this group of people. It's a really cool group and we're having really great discussions. So that's my review of The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan, and I'm really looking forward to continuing this series. Go ahead and comment down below if you've read this book, if you've read the Wheel of Time series, if you think that anything I've said has been completely egregiously wrong, or if you just want to gush about how much you like this series or how much you like high fantasy, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Thanks so much for watching. Bye! Hi.